Good morning. This is the Expat Show for expats in Germany. Hello, I'm Barry Redfern, and sorry to shock you. We've got some webcams in the studio today, which will probably mean we have far fewer people watching us now, that they know what we look like. In fact, all will be revealed in just a moment as I introduce everybody else in the studio, because today, adding a touch of the Caribbean, is Alicia Banfield. Good morning. Oh, there she is. Right. And all the way from California, not today, but in the past, is Scott Hazlitt.
Hi.
Scott, the warmer weather will suit you.
It certainly does. I think in California, a lot of times it's over 40 degrees centigrade. It gets well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
So you're feeling at home.
I am. I like this temperature.
Right. And those are in our studio. That's Alicia and Scott. Down in Bavaria, well, I say down because we're up north near Oldenburg. In Bavaria, representing England, we have Andrew Bossom. Hello, Andrew.
Hi there. And later I'll be embarking on the holy quest for a litre of milk.
Ooh. Yes, you see, Andrew is our man in Bavaria, giving a taste of life in Bavaria, well, through his eyes anyway.
Yeah.
Good. Well, there's one meal that Germans enjoy more than any other. Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, they don't get to eat any of it, that is. We're talking about a sketch called Dinner for One, starring Freddie Frinton, and shown on German television, of course, every New Year's Eve. Is it really true, though, that most Germans make this obligatory viewing each year? Well, that's the question I asked people in Bremerhaven.
Dinner for one, oh yes, because it's so stupid. Traditional and so stupid.
Traditional thing because of every year again.
Yes, naturally.
Why naturally?
Every year it's in television in Germany.
Why do you like it?
So funny, yes.
It's tradition.
Yeah, dinner for one. Yes, very good. I like it. I see it every year. It's tradition.
A dinner for one, and then we go out.
Every year, I'm looking to TV. Dinner for one.
Oh, also, yeah.
Yeah, he is one of the greatest comedians. Ausdruck is so great.
How he looks and he plays his role. That's very funny. That's in England no person, and in Germany, wow.
He was a military comedian, yes, in the Great War. It were the unterhaltung entertainment for the soldiers, and that he made. And Heinz Pieper had very well done to come here to Germany. Well, this is the kind of humor, sagen wir, that the people here love. And a wonderful, a little bit of understanding between the nations.
So Germans really do appreciate Freddie's work, but what about in Britain? He's been honoured with a blue plaque. That's if you're not from Britain, you're wondering what that is. It's a kind of a blue shield that they put on a building to say someone who was famous lived there, etc. So he has this blue plaque in his hometown of Cleethorpes. But yeah, it's a seaside.
Sounds like an illness.
He's
got Cleethorpes.
My Cleethorpes is acting out.
Be careful what you say. I think we have people from Cleethorpes watching this program.
Okay, well, nothing against the place. I've never been there, so it's probably wonderful.
Well, you should. Well, that was his hometown, but he was born in nearby Grimsby. The two places are right next to each other, and Grimsby is twinned with Bremerhaven.
There's the link.
That's right.
That is the link. Sorry, I'm hesitating a little bit. It's because we've got cameras and I'm trying to do various things.
It's making everybody self-conscious.
Yes, plus the fact, my age, because I gather that most people who appear on YouTube are about less than half my age.
You'd be surprised.
A third of your age grade.
You'd be surprised.
It sort of taxes the brain a little bit to multitask in so many ways.
But you do it so well.
Oh, thank you. Where did I get to? So Grimsby, it's twinned with Bremerhaven. But a few people in Britain, as I said, know about him. So what better place to open a museum dedicated to Freddie Frinton than Bremerhaven? So yes, Germans will be able to pay homage to their TV idol. And I asked Mike Landry of the Grimsby Twinning Association how this came about.
I'd met Mike through the blue plaque, and after that we got talking, found that he'd got a lot of these props from his father, and suggested it would be a good idea to show them to the public. Originally it was going to be in Grimsby, but that turned out not to be so, and the obvious destination for the props was Germany. So we thought, we're very proud of the fact Grimsby's twinned with Bremerhaven. We're very proud of the fact Freddie was born in Grimsby, so it made sense to have the exhibition here.
So it's all in progress now. The contract's been signed. You're going ahead with this.
Absolutely, yes. We've been to see the building this morning. It looks wonderful. The drafts look good. It's there's not a lot to change. It's in the city centre, and absolutely a tourist area. Lots of bars and restaurants. It's going to be very, very busy.
When will the museum open?
We hope a year in November, so about 18 months.
That was Mike Landry there of the Grimsby Twinning Association. Well, Freddie Frinton died in 1968 at the age of 59, but his son, Mike Frinton, is delighted that his father's memory will live on in this new museum. So how does he remember his father?
That he wasn't there a lot of the time because he worked away from home. I was 14 when he died. So from the first memories of him when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I can remember seeing him on TV. The first time I ever saw him on TV and waving to the television thinking he could see me. So that was as a little boy. And then as we grew up, we would always go away to wherever he was working. So because I spent all my time at home in Greenford, going to school from 5 onwards. And then if he was working in Bournemouth or Torquay or Blackpool for the summer months during the school holidays, we'd go up and spend those months with him there.
You travelled around with him?
No. Only my oldest sister for a while, for couple of years, 2-3 years, and then when Marilyn, my second sister, came along, that all stopped, and the girls stayed at home and started going to school locally. And then as my brother came along and I came along, same thing, we stayed local in northwest London.
Well, he had many stage appearances, and also he appeared on television as well, not just in Dinner for One.
No, his main claim to fame in Britain especially was Meet the Wife. He started on TV. His career was starting to fade a little bit by the late 50s. Theatres were starting to close in Britain, and they were being turned into bingo halls. And so the work was drying up, and Dad was contemplating leaving the business. And then Arthur Haynes, who was a comedian, up-and-coming comedian, a comedian he'd met in the war, during the wartime services, got a TV show, the Arthur Haynes Show, and he got Dad a little spot on that. So Dad became a walk-on drunk on the Arthur Haynes Show, and this is the early 60s, probably 60, 61, 62. And then somebody saw my dad and Thora Hird doing a summer season, almost as the characters they became in Dinner for One. In Meet the Wife. And liked the way the characters are interacted on stage. And they wrote a pilot sketch for Meet the Wife in about 1963. that took off. That was popular. So they started writing TV series. And I think in all he did 3 or 4 series of Meet the Wife. And that's what made my dad really famous.
What about after that? How did Dinner for One come about?
It was a 1-page sketch written back in the 40s, I believe, and my dad bought it from the gentleman who wrote it, and I can't for the life think of his name right this moment, I'm sorry. But it was just a 1-page sketch with a bare outline of what was going on, and because it's the same lines over and over again when all's said and done, so there's not a lot to it.
But the timing is excellent. He executed it wonderfully.
I think he because it was his favourite sketch that he loved doing, he built on it and stretched it from this just 1-page idea into a little 15-minute sketch. Yes, I think it grew over the passage of time.
But how did it come to be on German television and not originating on British television?
It was never shown on British TV, ever. I think little snippets might have been shown once or twice. He always did it. He always tried to put Dinner for One into a show that he was doing, wherever he was doing it, pantomime or summer season. He would try and snip it in somewhere, if the time allowed. But no, it was never shown on TV in Britain. But then when NDR picked up on it, and it was Germany's entry, I understand, to the Golden Rose of Montreux Award for that year. Didn't do very well, but I think the show was liked, and it was shown for those 1 or 2 years. That's why, thank God, Germany filmed it, and they've got this lovely copy of it.
So a German television producer saw this act and thought, that'll be good for German television.
Yes, it was as simple as that. Saw the mime appeal, I think, because there's so much repetition going on, and it's not a complicated sketch. It would translate well, literally, it would translate well.
He must have had a lot of props and artifacts from all those years in show business.
He did. After he died, we had a 5-bedroom house, but one of the smallest bedrooms was called the prop room, and that's where all his clothes were kept. So he would take what he needed for whatever show he was doing, and the rest of the clothes would stay in the prop room. Where most of those clothes went to, the trouble is you move house, things get distributed out amongst the family. But he had a room full of clothes.
But a lot of those are coming to the museum, though.
As many as we've got left, as many as the museum wants, they can have. Literally, these clothes, it'd be lovely for these clothes to be seen.
What about the star item itself?
Oh, and the tiger skin, my brother's keeping the tiger skin at the moment. He looks after that. But that's, it's definitely the star of the show, yeah.
It will come to Bremerhaven.
Oh, it will come to Bremerhaven, yeah.
How did that tiger skin get incorporated in the sketch?
Somebody had the idea that the sketch needed a running gag, something that happens time and time again, and an idea was suggested for a polar bear skin rug, and then somebody had seen this tiger skin rug hanging up in an antique shop. I think it was in somewhere like Bexhill in southeast England. Dad went along to see it, loved it, and bought it. And apparently, it was quite a few pounds to buy. It wasn't cheap and cheerful even back then. But I think Dad saw the value of having something as beautiful as that, because it is very striking, and it suits the room, of course, doesn't it? She looks like an old lady who'd have the old age lady of the Raj who would have a tiger skin that probably her husband shot or something lying on the floor. So it's perfect. It's perfect prop, isn't it?
Mike, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
That was Mike Frinton there, son of comedian Freddie Frinton of the famous Dinner for One sketch. Now, we can take phone calls. If anyone is really interested in Dinner for One and Freddie Frinton, here's the phone number to call, in Germany that is, 04488 527 0372. That's 04488 527 0372. And of course, this moment we are live, but of course it's repeated as a podcast on YouTube later, so do realise that.
Don't call then. No one will answer, or Barry will answer.
Today live being the Sunday the 27th of May. Well, a little later on we'll be going to Grimsby to find out a little more about where Freddie was born. But first we have a caller who's interested in Dinner for One. Viard Raveling, good morning.
Good morning, Barry.
Hello. And you are an enthusiast, a dinner for one enthusiast.
Well, not more than most of the Germans, you know. I've been raised with this for all my life and with our children, you know, because dinner for one is really a family affair. You sit alone in front of your TV and watch it alone. It's a family affair. The best thing is with your parents, your grandparents, your children, and your in-laws, and then you all laugh together.
So it's a family tradition with a lot of people in...
With a lot of people, yes.
In Germany, right.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I think a real cult film or cult TV program can only be watched in company.
And is there absolute silence when you're watching this? This is... You mustn't talk when he's on.
Well, yes, but you can laugh. Yeah.
And... Sorry, I keep interrupting you, Via.
No,
carry on.
You want to ask a question, because I think I have some information for you that might be new for everyone.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
The floor is yours. The microphone is yours.
Yeah, well, I found this information, and it's very surprising, even for me, who have been familiar with the whole thing for a long time. I will read you this. I'll translate this for you. I found it in the online Focus. Focus is a magazine, and it is from December last year. According to recent research, the sketch is based on a real story. After the death of her husband, Sophie Caroline Amalie of Saxe-Gotha-Altenburg liked to celebrate dinner parties with her deceased friends. Her cousin Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, the royal prince consort, who experienced himself such an evening, told his secretary of this unusual celebration. The British author, Laurie Wiley, whose real name was Morris Lawrence Samuelson Metzenberg, later discovered a written record of this anecdote, which inspired him to write this Dinner for One sketch. Now, if this is true, I was not able to check the truth of this, but then this would be the very first origin of Dinner for One. And it would be a thing in which the Prince Albert, you know, who was German, even at the end of his life he spoke better German than English. So the whole thing comes full circle, from a German Albert to German TV.
It's brilliant. I think that's very interesting. That is actually based on a real event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know if the tradition, you spoke about it as being a tradition where you sit down and you watch it together as a family, is that tradition still as strong now, you think, as when you were younger? Do you think with the advent of so many other distractions, it's kind of waning?
Well, I think even young people today, they have so many distractions. They probably have more things to listen to, but it is still quite popular. You know, and every year on the 1st of January, everyone comes around and says the same procedure as last year.
Same procedure as every year.
The same procedure
as every year, yeah.
Well, I've been living here for 12 years now, and I can tell you that we usually celebrate Sylvester with neighbors, friends, and so on. And we have to watch it. So I think of those 12 years, if you discount the years where I was actually home in Barbados, I've probably watched it 8 times. So, yeah.
How old are your children?
No, I don't have any children.
Oh, you don't have any children?
No, but we watch it when we go with our family and with our neighbours, I'm sorry. Yeah, the neighbours make us watch it.
Yeah.
And do you watch it, Scott?
Yes, I watch it almost every year. I think I've seen it I've been here for 33 years. I've seen it probably at least 25 times.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And sometimes people watch it several times in one evening, because all of these so-called third programs here, they all show it with
they broadcast it at different times.
Right, so people can watch it more than once.
So if you're very keen on it, if you are besotted by the whole program, you can watch it 3-4 times on Sylvester.
Do you know, I bet some people do.
Yeah.
They watch it end to end.
End to end.
It is good. I mean, it's amazing that this sketch that has stood the test of time, possibly because, I think as Mike Frinton was saying, that it is basically a simple sketch, but he's built on it, hasn't it?
It's the simplicity of it that makes it so fascinating.
And then the good acting of Freddie Frinton to carry that out.
Barry, can I tell you one little accident that came after one of these shows? A friend of mine, quite a dignified elderly gentleman, tried to imitate Butler James when he clicked his heels together. You remember the scene?
Yeah.
And that when Frinton did that, he hurt his ankle, and you could see the pain in his face. And my friend overtaxed the capacity to control the movements of his body, so the result was that he did not only hurt his ankle, but he broke it.
Good Lord.
And, this is really true. The following days and weeks, he was seen limping with one leg and plaster. Some people he met tried to subdue their mirth, but others teased him with remarks like, the same procedure as every year.
Well, you know what we say in this case? We say, don't try this
at home. I was just thinking the same thing.
Fiat, thank you so much for phoning in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And all the best for the new year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do keep watching. Watch this space.
Watch this space. Yes, and the next Sylvester will come.
That's right.
Yeah, I think so.
Inevitably. Yeah.
Okay.
Many thanks.
Thank you.
Fiat.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
May I interject something here?
Yeah, do interject.
The topic of Prince Albert. My dad was born in 1932, and he used to make prank calls when he was a kid. This is before television.
Mm.
And they called up the tobacconist, and they said, there was Prince Albert was a tobacco brand, and it was in a can. Yeah. And he said, do you have Prince Albert in a can? And they'd say, well, yes, of course. They say, well, let him out.
Well,
that's the 30s humor.
Well, the old ones are the best.
Well, they had to have some kind of entertainment,
including myself, of course.
Actually, there's a program now which shows there's nothing new under the sun, because there's a program now with 3 or 4 guys who pull stunts like that, and they make crank calls and it's always a guy who does stuff like this. Never a female. It's always a guy.
So strangely enough,
yeah. You guys got to find something to keep you busy, generation after generation.
Right. Well, just a reminder again that if you'd like to call us, the phone number is 044 88 527 0372. That's 044 88 527 0372 in Germany. And that's if you're listening to us live on Sunday, the 27th of May. Mm-hmm. Well, just a little later, we're going to Grimsby to find out more about Freddie Frinton's birthplace and its links with the twin city of Bremerhaven. But now we're going in the other direction to Bavaria, and our man Andrew Bossom taking a look at life down there. Andrew.
Yes, hello. Well, I was just thinking, because Dinner for One is closely associated with the holiday season, certainly in Germany, and that's one of the perks, or depending on your point of view, annoyances of living in Germany, is the public holidays. Because in addition to all the Sundays, there are several days in each year where offices are closed and shops are shut. And this May was full of them. So far, we've had May Day, Ascension Day, and the day after Pentecost. And in 6 of Germany's 16 states, there's another one. This coming Thursday, for me at least, if not for you, is Fronleichnam, which is Corpus Christi, or, as one of my students once mistranslated it, Happy Cadaver Day. Germany has quite a few of these holidays, although the exact number varies from place to place. Berlin, Bremen, Hamburg, Lower Saxony and Schleswig-Holstein have the fewest, at a measly 9. Majority Catholic areas of Bavaria, like where I am, get 13. And if you live in the city of Augsburg, you get an extra holiday just for you, bringing the total to 14. Well, that compares with about 8 bank holidays in England and Wales and slightly more in Scotland, and a surprisingly large number of 11 or once every 4 years, 12 federal public holidays in the US. But then, unlike in those two countries, in Germany, most things shut down for the day. If you run out of bread, you have to find an airport, a train station, or a petrol station. That's a gas station for you Americans. Now, personally, I don't mind the idea at all. It may be anachronistic, but I think taking a break from the otherwise relentless march of consumerism isn't a bad thing. There are about 300 days in the year I can go shopping. I can go without from time to time. I mean, I grew up in Britain at a time when bank holidays were very strictly observed. None of this open 365 days a year stuff. I mean, the shops even used to close for the whole afternoon once a week. For many other people, though, especially the younger ones, it's mystifying. Why, they ask, is this country so firmly entrenched in the Middle Ages? Come on, Germany, get your act together. This is the 21st century. Well, this could turn into one of those intractable arguments that will never end. Sometimes, at times like this, it is good to stop and find common ground, something on which we can all agree. And there is one thing about German public holidays that is uniformly and objectively bad, and that is the day before. I don't ever remember it this way back in Britain, but here in Germany, on the last shopping day before a public holiday, all hell breaks loose. It's as if the entire nation switches to Armageddon mode. Make the mistake of popping out for a litre of milk, and you may never make it back alive. You have to run the gauntlet of panicked grannies armed with elbows. If you've ever dreamed of doing the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, this may be the next best thing. You weave and dodge down the aisles, desperate to locate the precious bounty, scanning the horizon for the sacred sign of the H, the ancient symbol of ultra-high temperature processed homogenized milk. Fighting off the competition, you at last find the shelves of dairy products. Seizing the last remaining carton, you bear it aloft as you navigate the labyrinth to your final quest, the check-out. And it is there, my young friend, that you must learn the virtue of infinite patience as you stand in line behind 5 trolleys all piled to within an inch of the lofty ceiling with groceries and special promotions. I don't know why this happens. Why do Germans feel the need to do 3 weeks' worth of shopping just because there's a holiday looming? It's a total mystery to me. But even more mysterious is this. Whenever I speak to Germans about this, they all nod and agree with me that this is plainly ridiculous. All of them. Nobody I talk to is responsible for this situation. They are all victims of it. So where do these shoppers come from? Who are they? And what do they do the rest of the time?
They don't shop, that's for sure.
They come to my supermarket.
That's right.
Brilliant observation.
It's true.
It is 100%. But I have to interject, Andrew, and say one small thing. It's actually not just a German phenomenon. We also have it in the Caribbean. In Barbados, if you go to the supermarket before any public holiday, it doesn't matter if it's one day, if it's the long Good Friday, Easter weekend, it doesn't matter. It is almost as if they expect either a hurricane or the world to end in those 4 days. And when you look at what's in their cart, they're buying things that are even long hold. So they're buying tins of tuna fish, and you're asking yourself, okay, if you popped in for the odd vegetable or so because you had this brainstorm, you forgot. But really, why are you buying tin things and big on an insecticide? What you figure, that we're going to have more insects because it's a holiday? Right. I don't know.
In case something happens.
Yeah.
But they do this every holiday. That's the thing, is you think, last holiday they bought all their tins but no. So,
I think it's the same. I think it's the same. Sorry, I think it's the same scare gene for insurance. When they're pitching you insurance, you need insurance just in case, and they plant that seed in your head, and they make you panic and buy.
Make sure you got that tuna fish, because otherwise
you never know.
Someone could come over and say they wanted tuna fish salad. Oh no, I didn't buy any.
I've never been to the Caribbean, so I have no experience.
I'm surprised, Andrew.
But just don't go the day before
Put that on the list, right?
No, but obviously not. I mean,
well, you feel right at home then.
I'm sorry?
You'll feel right at home then, because everybody will do panic buying.
Well, I was just about to say, to ask Alicia. I mean, you this must make you feel very at home.
Well, actually, no. I've learned my lesson. I've only done it maybe in all these years, maybe once or twice, gone to the supermarket before a holiday, and I do not care whose gift I have forgotten. I am not doing Christmas Eve shopping for nobody. And here I'm not even shopping on the 23rd. If it's not bought by the 22nd, you ain't
getting the present.
You ain't getting nothing. I'm sorry. Unapologetically.
I mean, isn't part of the problem the fact that Germany has so many holidays?
So many? Well, I guess that's all relative, isn't it? In the States, we solve the problem this way. We say, we never close. I've heard that. I think of Thanksgiving. It used to be the day after Thanksgiving is always a Friday, because Thanksgiving is the last Thursday in November. So now...
Black Friday.
There's no Black Friday anymore, because I think some stay open on Thanksgiving. Or they open up really early, and they said Black Friday hardly exists anymore because of the web as well. People buy online, but it's been greatly diminished in the last few years.
It's probably a bit of a relief. But I mean, as I said, the US actually has quite a lot of federal holidays, 11 of them, and then you've got all the state holidays as well. But shops aren't obliged to close on those days.
No. They don't usually,
I must admit, it's frustrating. One of the things I like about living in Germany, and especially living in the countryside, is you do get the space of peace and quiet. And I do like it. I am not naysaying that. But I got to tell you, sometimes I would not mind getting up at 10:30 at night and going and doing a spot of shopping. Who am I kidding? Often. Because during the day, you're working.
Right.
Saturday morning, you wake up, you want to do your cleaning or your whatever. And then after that, you're exhausted. Sunday comes around, and honestly, I would love to go, you know what, I can take my time, have my breakfast, after sleeping in late, and then get up and at my leisure, go shopping, only to find you've got this very finite time limit in which you have to get things done or you're shot. And it does add a little bit of frustration, especially since we came here straight from Miami. But, you know, Miami, which was open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But yeah, I do miss
have to say that I miss that ability to go into a late evening shop and buy a few odds and ends.
Yeah.
Well, there are a couple here. In Oldenburg, there are 2 stores that are open till midnight.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, you get maybe 1 or 2 in places like Berlin or Munich, huge places, but...
Oh, there are actually more than just 1 or 2 in Berlin.
Oh, really? Yeah, sorry, I exaggerated.
This is our Berlin expert now on the phone.
So Andrew, so basically what I'm experiencing is probably a function then of where we live, which is, you know, auf dem Land, wo der Fuchs und der Hase sich guten Tag sagen. So it is...
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. Out here, the dead bury each other. But... So in Berlin, it is a little bit more relaxed, and you can go shopping on a Sunday and the other holiday. Is that what you're saying?
And just in case,
there are a lot. I mean, there's been in the last few years. I think Berlin's relaxed the shopping rules quite a lot.
Well, they have in general here, haven't they? Because when I first was living here, they had a long Thursday evening until 7:30 or 8. Yeah. And Saturday, everything closed at the latest at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that was it.
Yeah.
There were no supermarkets all over the place in Oldenburg here. They're open till 10 in the evening, 6 days a week. That didn't exist. You didn't get your shopping done by 6:30, that was it.
That was it.
So there was, I think that was a pretty high stress factor.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people, they romanticize and they say, but it was a lot more relaxed than I said, no, it wasn't. Everybody beat each other over the head on Saturday. Let's the family shopping day. And they were so stressed out. It was like the holidays, these huge loads of stuff. All the kids had to go along because they couldn't leave them at home. And it was stress city, and now it's more relaxed because it's more distributed.
Well, I've recently discovered the joys of Amsterdam.
Oh,
for shopping on offbeat hours. So, well, for a weekend, so no more sitting at home and fuming because...
you get condoms anytime you want, right? Oh, sorry. Or anything you need.
Did you say you've recently discovered the joy?
Yeah.
Let me just get that quote correct there.
What
hang on, no. You said you've recently discovered the joys of Amsterdam.
Are we talking about the recently?
Shopping.
I was just asking, are we talking the recently or the joys that you're questioning?
I think it was the whole combination was very interesting.
Yeah, I am ashamed to say that I have been in Germany for for 12 years now officially. And for the first time I went to Amsterdam because I kept waiting to go with someone. The time was never right. And my husband, he goes often on business, but then after he schlepped there on business. Yeah. After he schlepped there on After he schlepped there on business and I go, sweetie, I want to go to Amsterdam. He just looks at me like, again. So he's not
enthusiastic. It's a nice place, though.
Yeah.
It's great there.
So finally I went and, gotta say, love it.
Yeah.
And it was on a holiday as well, and the shops were open. Mm-hmm. So, it was great. And easy. I just hopped on the bus. You could drive where we live, but, I just hopped on the bus. It was brilliant. Right. Yeah. And as for the joys... it was quite educational.
Right. Well, you've been to many places around the world. You're from the Caribbean, or as you say, the Caribbean.
The Caribbean.
And
good old Barbados.
But I bet you haven't been to this place, Grimsby.
Yeah, it's such a lovely name.
At the top of my list, actually.
Right. Well, to find out more about Grimsby, of course, which is where Freddie Frinton was born. Yeah. We're going there right now, and the question is, how do locals see their town? I thought the best place to ask that is where a great many of them actually gather, a place called Blundell Park, home of their beloved football club, Grimsby Town. Well, Grimsby has a long history in the fishing industry, so the club has strong links with it. Well, joining us now is a lifelong supporter of Grimsby Town, who's also a feature writer and a poet, if I'm right. Gordon Wilson. Good morning, Gordon.
Good morning, Barry.
And thank you for joining us. So tell us a bit about the club, because I believe you are involved with the club fan magazine. Is that right?
Yes, I'm an occasional contributor to Cod Almighty.
Cod Almighty. There is a name to conjure with. Cod Almighty. I don't know how that would translate in German. That would be Kabeljau... something anyway. Wouldn't have the same.
Allmächtiger Kabeljau.
Allmächtiger Kabeljau. That's good. Yeah.
That's the linguist on the program now.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Apart from Freddie Frinton, what's famous about Grimsby?
We're still on football here, Barry.
Well, both. I mean, it's famous for the football club. But
well, let's stay with the football because that one's easy.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So the club is 140 years old this year. It had its heyday in the 1930s, but when they enjoyed some time in the top flight of English football, never quite winning it. 2 FA Cup semi-finals, but with a team that had a reputation at that time for skill, for excitement, had a smattering of England internationals. But 140 years on, we're in the 4th tier of English football, just completed a very stressful season which almost saw the club fall out of the Football League, having only returned 2 years ago.
The club has had a lot of ups and downs, hasn't it?
It It shares with Notts County, and I stand ready to be corrected by one or two. It shares with Notts County the record of having been promoted and relegated more times than any other club in English football.
Now, there is another well-known club just across the water from you. There's the Humber Estuary, Hull City. When was the last time you played against them?
Oh, I can't remember. It is so long ago. I remember as a child going across on the Humber ferry in the days before.
That's going back a bit, isn't it?
Yes.
It's got a bridge now.
The bridge was done. I'd be looking, but personally, I would be saying probably 1970s, but I know in the 80s Hull City were on their heels. They almost went out of business and were playing in the fourth level as we are. But they've obviously enjoyed a great deal of excitement since, with spells in the Premier League.
And the club has had one or two well-known managers, hasn't it?
We're talking Grimsby again now, yeah?
Grimsby, yes, sorry, not Hull.
Yes, indeed. From Bill Shankly, the great Liverpool boss, was at Grimsby in the 1950s for a short spell. Of all the managers that I've known while I've been following the club, Laurie McMenemy, who went on to become Kevin Keegan's assistant as on the England job.
Now, he was very well liked, wasn't he?
He was very, very, very well loved, yes, remarkably so. And, there are some remarkable stories about him that raise him to a status far beyond football. There's a story of the 1972 season when Grimsby won the 4th Division Championship under him, and the following at Stockport was quite remarkable. After the game, hundreds were gathered outside the ground, not wanting to go home until they'd met the players or spoken to the manager. And the police appealed to Mr. McMenemy to come out and talk to the crowd so that they could disperse them. And the story goes that Laurie came out and did speak to them and asked them to let the police get on with their job and let them get home to tea, etc. And everybody left. And one man apparently threw down his walking sticks. He was walking on crutches, threw them down, raised his arms, celebrated the Mariners, and then walked away. And this took on legendary, mythical status in that part of Lancashire and Cheshire. 40 years on, at Blundell Park, at an anniversary dinner, McMenemy was telling this story, and in the crowd of 350 people was that very same man, and he was still walking without the crutches. So McMenemy really did perform miracles.
That is a story. Wow. Yeah, and you had some famous visitors to Blundell Park as well, haven't you?
Are we talking in terms of clubs here, or Henry Kissinger came once?
Yeah.
I can't remember which game it was.
Henry Kissinger came to watch Grimsby Town.
Yes, Grimsby's MP at the time was Anthony Crossland, who was the Foreign Secretary, and of course he was able to bring a few big names with him. He was one.
Now let's talk about the club, because the various aspects of it, off the pitch and so on. You've got some mascots, haven't you? There used to be. I was doing a little bit of research. Mighty and Mini Mariner, because there are so many links with the sea, between the club and the sea, aren't there?
There are indeed, and yes, the current mascot is Mighty Mariner. Who is an interesting big bag of sponge in black and white, who's highly entertaining in his antics at the side of the pitch during the game.
And what you say, like a sponge?
Yes, he's a big suit, fluffy hat, and big exaggerated arms, legs, belly, etc.
Well, someone told me that you used to have a mascot called Harry Haddock.
I'm glad that you mentioned Harry Haddock, because that feeds into a number of stories, if you can bear with me. Harry Haddock is an inflatable fish. And he was spawned in the newsroom at the Grimsby Telegraph, where at the sports desk one day they were looking for some ideas about how they could sort of liven up the visitor experience for supporters. And before going down to play Wimbledon in 1996 in an FA Cup tie, these guys on the news desk decided it would be good to have some inflatable fish. They found a contact in London who was able to produce these things. I don't know if it was 500 or 1,000 that they got, which they were able to sort of take out and sell on the day. And the BBC Match of the Day cameras captured this scene of thousands of Grimsby supporters waving these apparently inflated haddocks. They were, in fact, rainbow trout. That was the nearest that they could get at the time. But that was the beginning of Grimsby's history with inflatables.
That sounds like a very dodgy statement.
Inflatables, yes.
It's not
back to
It's not as bad as you might think, but it comes close. In 2015, there were 1,000 Grimsby supporters at Barnet, and they'd taken away all manner of inflatables. They had Harry Haddocks, they had bananas, they had aliens and dinosaurs, and yes, there were some blow-up dolls of a certain nature too. And one Grimsby fan was charged at that game with assaulting a steward with an inflatable shark. As a consequence of this, in the following away fixture in 2017, the Barnet club banned inflatables.
Oh, they took the fun out of it.
Well, but they got something else instead. A group of Grimsby supporters weren't going to take this lying down, and they crowdfunded a mariachi band to come and play at the game. And there are some wonderful pictures available on YouTube, if people are caught by this, of the band playing in the bar under the stand and leading a conga line along the terraces.
Absolutely brilliant.
And Grimsby supporters surrounding them, mustachioed, in panchos with sombreros, singing, rather strangely, Ring of Fire, the Johnny Cash song.
Right.
You just
hang on,
made
mariachi band.
Right. Everyone wants to go there now.
Yeah, you just made Grimsby, with that one anecdote, you just made Grimsby incredibly interesting.
That's right.
But of course,
it has a lot more going for it than it seems.
Well, Grimsby's appeared in films as well, though not always in a good light.
No. Historically, David Lean in 1935 made a film called The Last Adventurers, which was a story surrounding a Grimsby fishing family. It's a rather strange film. They went into they took some local houses and set them as homes of the fishermen. Rather strangely, used the biggest and the richest houses in the town as fishermen's homes, which was rather incongruous.
Far from reality.
But more recently, Sacha Baron Cohen's film has been hugely controversial because people were worried about the negative side of Grimsby that it would promote. Most of the filming, interestingly, was done somewhere down on the Thames. I can't remember exactly where it was, but not much of it was filmed in Grimsby at all.
So it's not really representative?
Not at all, no, apart from the fact that Sacha Baron Cohen runs around with a black and white shirt on, which is, I suppose, any publicity is good publicity.
But no inflatables.
But no inflatable.
I can't remember. I haven't seen the film. I'm one of those that chose not to watch it, didn't want to support it.
I'm not surprised.
But since it's twin to Bremerhaven, we've spoken about the football and the football fans. If you could describe Grimsby itself in one very concise sentence that captures the people and the whole atmosphere of Grimsby, what would it be?
It's a town that's waiting for something to happen. There's all sorts of promise in the renewables industry of established businesses on the former fish docks, but there's more investment needed, and there are lots and lots of people who want to find work, who want to see a future. They're ready for it to come. We're just waiting for more to arrive.
You say former fish docks. Because I always associate Grimsby with the fishing industry. Has that declined?
The fishing industry, on one level, yes. In terms of fish caught by local boats brought in, it has suffered enormously alongside most other fishing ports.
It used to be one of the leading fishing industries in the world.
It did indeed. In 1935, Grimsby was claiming, with its new dock, to be the biggest the biggest fishing port in the world. The fish market is still the biggest in the country. It's still very, very healthy, but most of the fish comes down by lorry now from Scotland, and less through the lock pits in trawlers.
It's funny you should mention the local economy and trade, etc., because we've got an interview coming up in a few moments with a member of North East Lincolnshire's economic development team about this very subject.
Oh, I hope they've got some good news.
And the other part of the answer is work on that football. The constant relegation and promotion. You get the football going, get the people rallying around that, and the spirit of Grimsby will rise again.
We have what looks like a very exciting young manager who's just moved in and rescued us from oblivion. So maybe it's just around the corner.
Fingers and toes crossed.
Now, people from Grimsby, what are they called?
We're Grimbarians.
Grimbarians. Not Grim and Berry, but Grimbarians.
Well, we grin and bear it, but we are Grimbarians.
Well, better than the brothers Grimm.
And somebody told me that you call each other codheads. Is that a term of abuse?
No, on the contrary, it's a term of abuse that's used by supporters of Scunthorpe United and Doncaster Rovers. Rather strangely, codheads is a term very proudly borne by the Fleetwood Town, a fairly recent addition to the English Football League, a long-established club, but they're quite happy to call themselves codheads.
Well, right. We just have to be careful when we use it and the company we're in. Yeah,
the context in which it's
very important. Yeah.
Could I just very briefly touch on politics, if I may, because I believe that 70% of people in Grimsby voted for Brexit. That's a very high figure.
It is indeed. Don't get me on this one personally, because I was one of the 30%, and I'm hoping and praying that whatever arises from that referendum will not turn out to be as bad as it might look. But I don't think there's any question that the UKIP argument met an audience that wanted to hear what it was going to say, and I suspect that's what drove most of it. There's a lot of hope that a Britain out of Europe will be good for the fishing industry, but the jury's really out on that. You'll hear people from the fishing business turn around and say that they want special exemptions from whatever deal might arise. So who knows what's coming there?
Right. Okay. Well, that's the end of the politics now, I promise. What about just to finish on Grimsby Town itself? How does the future look? You say that you've got a new manager now. What do you think? What are your hopes?
Well, a lot of people are saying with the disappointment of just going back into the Football League and look to be on the edges of the playoffs and hoping for promotion, people are saying, let's just settle for safety. Some people are even saying, let's settle for mediocrity. Well, I'm not into that. This division is incredibly tight, and I don't think it takes much to go from, we've seen it. We went from being on the fringes of the promotion possibilities to potential relegation in a very, very short period of time. One of the best things that's happened is that our much-loved goalkeeper has been given a new 3-year contract, which is unusual at this level of the game. We do have the promise of new talent coming in. Michael Jolly has brought in an English fullback that he knew from his time in Sweden, who has fitted perfectly into the team and given us what we needed. So it looks as if he has a good eye for a player. Tactically, he's interesting. I think things are looking up, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Gordon, thank you very much indeed for talking to us, and all the best to the club and the people of Grimsby as well.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Good talking to you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye. So that was Gordon Wilson, a long-time supporter of Grimsby Town Football Club and also contributor to their fan magazine called Cod Almighty. Well, still with Grimsby, British humour, as we heard earlier with Dinner for One, isn't the only thing to be appreciated by a wider audience. Grimsby and its twin city Bremerhaven have much in common, especially when it comes to industry and commerce. David Robinson, a member of North East Lincolnshire's Economic Development Team, explained what their plans are.
The similarities are absolutely scary, actually. Clearly, from an economic perspective, which is my kind of key focus in my day job, we are both major ports. Certainly at this point in time, the port of Bremerhaven and the port of Grimsby are very big in terms of car import and export. So we have boats that come from Bremerhaven and Cuxhaven landing on a weekly basis in Grimsby and vice versa. Historically, the big focus has obviously been on fish and fishing. Bremerhaven is still one of the three main sites for seafood production manufacturing in Europe, the other one being Grimsby, the other one being Boulogne-sur-Mer in France. But whilst neither of us have the great trawling fleets that we used to have historically, Grimsby is responsible for processing about 70% of all the seafood that's eaten in the UK. And indeed, some of our bigger companies are now looking to export actively as well. So Grimsby Seafood is still a recognised brand and is still out there. The other great opportunity is offshore wind. So we've seen the investment and infrastructure that's been built in the wind port at Bremerhaven, and indeed the port of Grimsby is the de facto centre for operations and maintenance activity for offshore wind in the UK now. So there have been some big scale investments, and those will continue.
That was David Robinson there. Now, time is just 4 minutes to 12, so we've got just a little bit of time left to talk about what our guests have been up to recently. It's been hot weather in Germany.
Oh, I know. I think it's lovely. I'm feeling quite at home with all this gorgeous weather.
Does the temperature in Barbados reach these temperatures or higher?
Oh, higher. Definitely higher. Yeah. But right now, what do we have this morning? Like a 21. Yesterday we had 28.
Well, it's going up to 28.
Yeah. For those of you who've never been to the Caribbean or Barbados, yesterday in Northern Europe is what you would call a perfect late spring, early summer day in Barbados.
Because in Germany, the temperatures have risen quite high, haven't they?
Unusually high.
Yeah. And there have been fires in several places. Particularly in our own region up in...
I heard the fire truck a few times
Lower
over
Saxony.
over the last few days.
Well, there's a big fire, wasn't there?
Yeah. And Andrew, in Bavaria, have you had many forest fires down there?
Well, not round here, no. Thankfully, no. I don't know. I think I was about to say we're normally more sensible about this kind of thing and we don't start forest fires, but then I remember that time a couple of years ago when one of our neighbours set fire to his tree and very nearly started a forest fire.
That sounds like a story. That sounds like a great beginning of a story.
Well, he had a compost heap under the tree and he tipped some hot ashes over the compost heap, and then he just went indoors, and a few hours later the whole tree went up.
Whoops. Honey, the tree's on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, how'd that happen?
Bonfire on natural.
Well, up here, apparently, I've got some information here. We did a little bit of research. Since April this year, there have been 90 fires reported to the Central Fire Monitoring Headquarters in Lüneburg.
Really?
Wow.
That's quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's in stark contrast to 2017, when only 130 fires were registered altogether.
What's the cause of the fire, did they say? Were they in the
lightning
in the forest?
I haven't said, but apparently they are warning that be careful not to throw away glass bottles.
I was
because
just about to say
they
that.
can cause this.
Oh,
Also,
really?
hot car catalysts. They can spark fires in dry grass. So they're telling people to park in designated areas and not in on grass.
Yeah, when you hear about forest fires, you think, oh, somebody is setting them. But actually, a glass sitting under the boiling hot sun, a discarded bottle or fragment of glass sitting in dry brush is like a magnifying glass, and it can be a recipe for danger. Or just flicking away a cigarette without making sure it's stubbed out when it's that dry. Yeah. So.
Well, that's almost it today.
That's it, yes.
Quite a lot in the program today.
Very interesting.
We now know more about Grimsby, and I'm rooting for Grimsby.
I've never heard of Grimsby.
I'm rooting for Grimsby. They're inflatables and they're football
They can get up
team.
to the third league again.
Yes.
Right.
Keep positive.
Well, thank you to today's guests, Mike Frinton, Mike Landry, David Robinson and Gordon Wilson. In our team today were Scott Hazlitt, Alicia Banfield, Andrew Bossom, and behind the scenes, Cameron Garnett. He's out of shot. He's to that side. He's been helping with the technology here. And Bastian Spiller, who's been cutting the pictures. So now you know what we look like.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad
That's
thing.
right. Either they'll all tune in now or they'll say, oh, God.
From me, Barry Redfern, until the next show, it's goodbye.